Hello everyone, welcome back. In this video, I'm going to show you how to move a column from its center line toward a position that you needed. Now, remember the grid line that we brought it to Etabs mainly come from architectural. And architectural, when they place those grid lines, they can have center of the wall. So most of the time, the columns that we have, they are not directly at the center that we're placing it here. They're somehow shifted towards somewhere else. So shifting means what? This is the column that we have it. So this is the column that we place it in Etabs because it's normally placed by this center, But in the real, because according to the grid line that we have it, maybe the column that we have it, it looks like this. So it'll be something like this. The column that we have it supposed to come here. Now this is shifting. So the center of the column kind of came here. Now this is a movement. You have a two-directional movement that you move the column from one direction, from two directions. One is from this direction and the second one from this direction. So it's basically from two directions you're moving the center of the column. Now that's why we need later to connect with the link, because when we're drawing the beam, we'll use this, for example, center, maybe even the beams we're going to move them, doesn't matter, but the center of the column will come here. So that's why we're going to use that center later to link to the beam's center point. Now in order to do this movement here, how do you know these movements? Basically, look at the plan. I will do some video regarding to the project that we have it, that will show how do I find the movement, the distance between the center to that one, in order to bring it here to apply it. Let's say first to understand how to move, then we will do some real examples. Well, in order to do the movement, what we have to do? Well, we select the column. Now selection in Etabs. So selection in Etabs we have two. This is whether cutting it or put all of it inside in two directions, selecting this one here. If the object is not completely within the selection here, it will not be selected. It's in the plan. In here you can simply click on it. It will select like this. One click will select it. Escape will deselect it. I'll talk about selections in more detail. I'll come back to them because we have a lot of options there for selection that you need to know. But for now, you can just click on it here or draw a window. So you press the left button and you will hold it and you will go around the column and release the button. It will select. Selection, you will see this cross in the middle of it. In order to move this column from its center to somewhere else, is basically in the edit, we have move joint frame shell, which the shortcut for this Control M. So you'll press Control M, that you'll be able to move this one from its location. So if I click here, move joint frame shell, it will give me this window. It will tell me how much you want to move this column. Now, let's talk about the directions here. We have four directions. We have four directions because we have negative as well. So we have, this is negative in X direction, positive in X direction, positive in this Y direction, negative in Y direction. So I have four directions to move this column. If I'm wishing to move this column to somewhere here, so we know that which of the two I'm using it. I'm using this one, which is to the negative. This is the positive of X, this is the positive of Y. So negative in X, negative in Y. And since it's going down, will be negative in Y. So negative in X, negative in Y, two movement. Remember, because delta here, delta means the change in the movement. This is, you can find it in two ways, whether from the center, the difference between the center, or the other ways, easier ways to measure this one is to see how much you're moving like this. That's it. How much you're moving like this, how much you move down like this. That's the delta movement. Or basically from the center, it's the same thing. How much you move like this, how much you move basically to this one, it's the same distance you have it. Well, let's say I'm going to apply some values here to see what will happen. Look, this is selected. If it does not select, you'll get a warning. Let's say delta x, I'm writing it down. By the way, the unit is meter. Let's say I'm changing this one to 10 centimeter. This will be minus because I want to move to the left. And then in delta y, I'm going to write minus point. Let's say the column was 60. If I wanted 10 to remain, well, let's make this one 20. And it's 30. If I move 5 here. And let's say for the delta y, I'll use minus point. Let's say that's gonna be 15. Let's say I'm moving something like this. I'll tell you what did I do. I press apply. You'll see the column moved. So somehow moved to somewhere here. It is still there. Yes, still there. If you press apply, you'll get no object were found to move. You'll get this error. So if you select this one, you can still move it. You say you don't like this one, you want the y to be more, you make this x, I don't want anything in the x, I only want the movement to be in the y direction. Let's say this time I only want to move it down, so I'll make 0 in x. In delta y, let's say I want to move 5 more centimeters down, 5 more centimeters down, the minus, apply it, it'll come down, press OK, and that's the new location of the column that you have it. If you select the column, you will see the center, it's here, the joint, which first time was here, the grid point 7h, but now the center of the column here, so we will later connect them together with the beams that comes to this joint here. This is how you move columns from their own origin. So let's say that you have this one, you'll select first, Control M is the fastest one, Control M. Instead of going to edit and click the Control M, then there is another way to do. In order to, instead of using those coordinates, we can use pick 2.2 model. So you already understood this one. Let me choose the second one. Let's say I have a column here. Let's place a column here first. We are at the top of the first floor, so I'm pressing a column. Let's say this column, it's somewhere here. Now I want to move this one from this point to this point. Now, I know exactly how much it is. Yes, 10 centimeter. But if I know the exact location that I'm moving the column, there is another option that we can use for movement. I'm selecting the column, Control M, and instead of giving those values, make sure those are zeros. Those are 0. Doesn't matter, they will change by itself, but make sure they're 0. Do not have any mistake. You'll pick 2 point on model. This is where you're telling the Etabs to move this column from this point to that point. So kind of one point will be the center of the column, and the next point will be the place that you want to place the column in there. So pick 2 points on model. If it's active, you have to come on the model and you click on this one. When you click, you'll see something like this. I release the mouse. Then another click. Where do you want to move? You want to move it here. You want to move it here. So you're going to second click. For example, I want to move it to this point here. Look, I want to move it to this one. Can I move this onto somewhere else? Yes, I can move it here. Look, I can click at this point here. When I clicked, what will happen? Etabs automatically will find the delta x, the relation between those 2 points. It will bring it for you here. You press apply, it'll move to that location. If I want to do it again, for example, I can just select 2 points here. Sorry, let's press escape, pick 2 point. I can click here, bring it to this point here, then press apply. Sorry, no selection, so you'll select, you press apply, it'll bring it back to that, for example, the place somewhere else. This is a way that you can do it. Pick 2 points on model if you know the exact location of the column that you're going to move to. Or use delta z. Basically delta z, it's the elevation of the column. You're moving up and down. That's something else. You might use this one for the beam. You can use this one for beam, frame basically, or shell. But for the column, mainly x and y to the centroid, you'll move it somewhere in order to fit to the plan. Now the question is why I have to move this one there. Remember the grid line that we have it here that I used for the project that I'm going to show it to you are made by the architecture. Those are the center of the wall. Later the walls are here, the beams are here. So that's why the columns are not, this is not the center of the column. This grid line not the center of the column. There is a way that you can manage these things easy for yourself. You can provide whole new grid lines that you will not do shifting of column. The same thing that I explained in Revit, that you'll be able to do this one in Revit as well. If you have a new grid lines, you don't need to shift the columns to their, for example, location. You directly place them by their centroid if the grid lines are the center of the column. I believe this is enough for the columns that we have it here. Thanks for watching.